What is up, guys? This is Sam from Snakes on Sam. So this week I had a really traumatizing experience. I was at my show and I was passing my animals around to the kids as I always do, which is part of my shows. And we were working with Boris, my Russian tortoise. He's a small little tortoise this big. And we're passing the kids. They're doing great. I'm always, extra cautious with them. And then I passed it to an adult. So he held him for about 5 seconds, and all of a sudden, I don't know what happened, but he dropped him. And he dropped him straight onto concrete. From what I saw, I could see it kind of slow mo. When something like that happens, you're like, no. But he dropped him and he kind of flipped over. And from what I could tell, he landed on his back directly on the concrete. When he fell, we heard a loud crack, and my heart immediately dropped. I didn't know what I was about to pick up. I didn't know what I was about to see. So I grabbed him and I went around the corner. So just in case he was bleeding a lot, I pulled him over so no one, could experience that and I could, keep them safe from that. So I don't want to, scare any kids or anything. When I looked at him, he had a little bit of blood, but the crack was pretty significant. So if this is a shell, it went all the way around from top to bottom, but it was really hairline. So it was really a small crack in terms of the width of it, which was fantastic. But still, I don't know what this entails. I'm not a vet. I've never, again, experienced something like this. So we stopped the show. We called a vet. They were an ER vet. I'm not from the area it happened in. So they escorted me to a place in Culver City that had a great ER unit. And they moved their schedule around and fitted me in immediately because they knew it was an emergency situation. The treatment plan, what happened is they ended up bandaging his shell up and also applying some clips to keep it more stable and to keep it from moving around. He's also on two medications. He's on an anti-inflammatory and an antibiotic. Both are injectables. I'm not the best with injectables. Like, I used to be someone who passes out at the sight of needles. My body just does that. Like, even if I try not thinking about it, I pass out. It's just how it is. And so I was really nervous when they told me that because I knew I would have to be doing those injectables at home. And I'm like, oh, am I going to be able to do this? Shoot. Because I did take a horse class once and I did have a hard time with it. I did it, but it was definitely hard to inject a horse. And I'm like, oh man, how am I going to do this to my own reptile? But so they notified me of that. And I came in and I did the injectables, so I can do them, which is great. It doesn't scare me as much on reptiles. I think maybe it's just like a mammal thing versus a reptile thing. That is just the response I have my body has doesn't work with reptiles. But yeah, and so he's doing great. He's been resting. I've had him in one of my little travel containers because they don't want him to move around very much. They want him on paper towels so he doesn't get his shell dirty, nothing gets contaminated in there. I need to change the bandage every 48 hours, or if it's really clean in there, which I've been keeping really clean, maybe every 2 days. So I'm more on a 2 day schedule. Today I'm going to change it because it's been 2 days. And yeah, I mean, when it happened, it was really interesting to see because he was very like lively, like nothing happened. He just fell and cracked his shell and he was ready to walk around right after. And he was the same tortoise I know. So it was really interesting. But I'll show you him right now, how he's doing. Little Boris. So here he is. So it looks like nothing happened, right? But he has this big bandage and it runs all the way, like the shell break runs all the way from here to here. I'm going to take it off so you can see it because it's really hard to see, actually. You can barely see it. But let's see. And by the way, I wasn't this calm when it happened. I think like I was like inside panicking like crazy. Now, since I've lived with it for a couple days, I'm now like chilling out a little bit, getting over the trauma. I mean, it's not really even about me, like my trauma. Like it's more like poor little dude. But yeah. So here's his little accessories. I'll try to get it in frame as much as I can. It's hard to see, but there's a metal piece right here, and there's also one right here, and they're just epoxied onto his shell. They're gonna come off naturally in about, I don't know, I have to read through my pamphlet, but I think it's around 3 months or so that's gonna just come off clean. If they come off before that, and you go back in. But as you see, he's just going. He's like loving life. He probably is in a lot of pain because, as I said, you really can't see it, but there's like a hairline crack all the way here, all the way down, all the way here, basically half of his shell. And the doctors say that he has a great prognosis. They think he's, no big deal with him. The biggest obstacle he's going to have to overcome is really just making sure there's no infection in his shell, in his inners. We didn't do a x-ray because she said that we could, and she'd always probably find a little bit more information, but with his case in particular and his size, they wouldn't be able to see too much. And really, because there's no pieces broken off, because there's nothing sticking in his shell, they think that is just really superficial, meaning just his shell. There's no organs involved. There may be a little bruising to his lungs, but they can't tell that through any x-ray. So we just passed through that. And just because his personality and his liveliness and how it hasn't changed at all in this process, we're really feeling like he's pretty well off in this scenario. So yeah, it was hard. It was hard for him, I'm sure. God, like it seemed like it didn't even affect him though. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane, right, little guy? But yeah, he's officially going to be removed from my lineup at shows, just because anytime like with bones or anything, if you break them, they're more susceptible later on to be broken again. So I just don't want to put him through that. And it's a lot. Like, he's really good at shows, and I'm going to really miss having him there because he's really calm with travel, calm with kids. It doesn't even phase him. I have other tortoises that they're great with kids, but they're just a little bit more sensitive to the travel part and all that. So I'm going to miss him because he's such a great guy on the road, but he deserves the break. He deserves his time off. In terms of bringing him back to shows, I think, I can reassess that within like maybe a year or so, but nothing anytime soon, nothing within the 3 months of his healing. I'm talking about years from now, but he's going to have a great little fun time just hanging out here and enjoying his retirement now because he deserves it, right? So yeah, it was rough. And he's going to go into a bigger cage. So he's going to go into like a 20-gallon. I just haven't cleaned out because it's been raining here in Los Angeles, and I don't like rain, but he's fine. Like, he has his lighting, he has everything he needs in here. I've been able to watch him. I moved him into my bedroom, so he just hangs out in here right now. But yeah, he's going to be in bigger enclosure and everything. I just wanted to give him a little time away, and then to get that enclosure fully detoxed out and everything, so it's a super sterile environment. I just couldn't do that with the LA rains going on. I live on a ranch and it gets dirty and muddy, and it's just too hard to keep everything clean and not contaminated. So we're going to do that today. It's dried up. We have blue skies again. It's going to be great. So yeah, and then he's going to be going into his checkup. I think it's this coming Wednesday. So it's just a week checkup, and he's just going to check how he's doing, how his vitals are doing, how his clips are holding, and his overall demeanor. And it looks like he's fine. He looks like he's doing great. And it was really devastating, but I'm happy that it turned out the way it did versus how it could have. It could have been a lot worse. It could have been pieces of his shell, fragments of his shell off. It could have been a lot worse. So we're doing great over here. So they gave me a mini sharps container, which is really cool. This is what you leave all the injectable syringes in when you're done with them. So this is just because they're biohazard, and it's the same thing they have in vet offices and doctor's offices. You just leave them in here, and then apparently I'm supposed to bring it back to the vet office. They can dispose of them for me, or I can take them to like a biohazard drop-off site, which I have no idea where those are, what I do with those, but just figuring it out as I go. I've never had this happen, so I don't know what I'm doing, but this little thing is really cute. It's like a little garbage can. And then also this is one of his medications. So these are the syringes that I have to administer every day. So I do it in the evening. And what you do is you pull back their leg, and right by their leg, you just kind of slide it right underneath his skin. Just really small amount, like not a long needle. And then you just put it, in his arm right there. This is his anti-inflammatory. So this is his anti-inflammatory. There's only 3 syringes left. And I also have in the freezer, I have his antibiotics. So I give those every 3 days. And those I have a lot left on. So I'll be doing antibiotics for a while, but we just switch limbs. So one limb, one each day. It gets kind of funky when you have like both injectables on one day, because then it's like, what arm do I put it in next? Because I just did that one. So I don't know. But again, I'm just doing what they told me. I have no idea. And beyond that is just like a checkup, and that's it. So I'm hoping, it all goes smoothly. It seems like he has a great prognosis and he's doing great as it is right now. So I'm feeling good about it. I'll be updating you guys soon on my new snake. I didn't say his name. I also his name. My new lipstick sunglow boa imperator. I'll be updating you guys on him. I haven't done it yet because of all the drama with this guy over here that happened this week, but I will be making a video. I'm finishing one last step to his enclosure. I'm just gluing on the mushroom ledges onto his enclosure, and I have to wait for those to cure before I can put him back into it. And I'll just give you a little tour of his little spots. So he's doing great. He really is, and I'm so excited for him. Oh, and he ate this week. So he ate, well, last week rather. He ate last week. No big deal. He's just a champ. He's just settled in great. So I'm really happy. So yeah, guys, wait, look out for that video and find me on Instagram if you aren't following me on there, and also subscribe right here. And I look forward to telling you all about my new snake and his name too, and introducing his name. All right, guys, have a good day. See you guys.